They thought the shot was perfect. It was March 22, 2025. High above the Red Sea, skies were clear, visibility near flawless, and a U.S. Air Force F-16 Fighting Falcon cruised on routine patrol at standard altitude. Nothing unusual until a warning light blinked red across the HUD radar lock. Then the unmistakable ping of a missile launch. Brake, brake, brake. The pilot slammed the stick, instincts taking over. The jet rolled hard right, flares igniting countermeasures. Streaming. A heat-seeking missile streaked skyward. An infrared-guided Syad launched from Houthi-held territory in Yemen. Silent, lethal, the F-16 dove, engines howling, while a Growler jamming team filled the air with electronic noise. Overhead, an E-to-D. Hawkeye spun its radome, tracking every move from the deck of USS Eisenhower. Operators watched in real time as the missile curved, adjusting toward the Falcon's heat signature. 30 seconds to impact, the pilot pulled into a brutal 9G turn, the airframe groaning under stress. Fox 3 defensive, he shouted across comms. A final flare burned white-hot behind him, enough to confuse the seeker. The missile detonated, harmlessly mid-air, too far to matter. The Falcon survived, but the real question wasn't how the Houthis managed to fire. It was what happens when you shoot and miss, because this wasn't random, it was bait. For weeks, the Red Sea had been boiling with tension. Commercial tankers rerouted, U.S. destroyers cutting patrol lines, Houthi fighters growing bolder by the day. Just days earlier, a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper had been swatted from the sky off Yemen's coast, its wreckage flaunted online minutes later. That success emboldened them, but mistaking a drone for a jet was their fatal error. Warnings had already been issued, carrier groups shifted formation. Aegis destroyers repositioned, yet the Houthis, backed by Iranian systems and training, believed escalation carried no cost. So when an American F-16 crossed their radar net, they fired. Only this time, the Falcon fired back. Because that jet wasn't just cruising, it was part of a broader ISR web, scanning for missile sites along Yemen's coast. What the pilot didn't know then was that he had become the bait in a much larger trap. Weeks earlier, the Pentagon had quietly rewritten the rules of engagement. Any radar lock on U.S. aircraft was now treated as hostile. Any missile launch meant automatic retaliation. And the Houthis had just made the ultimate mistake. Their launcher fired and lingered too long. That would be the last time it stayed exposed. Back aboard Eisenhower, the pilot's call wasn't only heard, it was logged, analyzed, and instantly turned into target data. Thermal feed, missile plume, GPS coordinates, everything recorded. The retaliation clock had already started. At 28,000 feet, the Falcon burned west, hugging Yemen's edge. The pilot barely steadied from his evasive dive when his RWR shrieked again. Fresh lock, different angle. The first missile missed, but more were coming. His ALR-56M screamed in his headset, threat SA-6 lock, a classic Soviet Tirasam, but Houthis had Iranian knockoff Syad-class systems with modern seekers and mobile launchers. Slow to set up, slower to hide, but lethal once active. And now they were hot. The pilot's left hand jammed the throttle to afterburner, right hand primed the flare system. Exhausts glowed white hot, perfect prey for heat seekers. Viper 3. Defensive, multiple locks, repeat multiple launch points, request support. Overhead, NEA-18G Growler from VAQ-1 for O spewed electronic disruption, pouring invisible static across enemy radars. The F-16 nosed over, pulling into a savage dive. G-forces pinned him, blood draining, vision tunneling. He fought through it. Flares burst in clusters, streaking bright in the night sky. The Falcon rolled at 700 knots, canopy rattling as one Syad screamed past, within 200 feet. Close enough to shake the frame, but it missed. That was the opening. Because what the Houthis didn't realize was that the entire fight was being watched. High above, at nearly 60,000 feet, a Navy MQ-4C Triton drone had been circling, watching everything. Flying wide ISR loops, the Triton wasn't armed, but it didn't need to be. Its mission was vision, and its sensors caught everything. Heat blooms on the ground, electronic pings, pinpoint coordinates, all of it streamed live to CENTCOM. More critically, to the Combat Information Center aboard USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. The dogfight itself lasted under 2 minutes. Cleaning up the aftermath would take hours. When the Falcon settled into a holding pattern above the Red Sea, reinforcements slid into the sky. First, another F-16 from the 421st Fighter Squadron joined on its wing, scanning for new threats. Then came the call from command, engagement confirmed, target data locked, hold station. Birds inbound, translation strike package already. On its way even before fighters rolled, the Navy moved. Deep inside a nearby Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, VLS hatches cracked open. Vertical launch systems 25-foot tubes housing Tomahawk cruise missiles stood ready. The order came less than 5 minutes after the missile miss. Target Alpha, fire 1, then another, then 4. Each missile roared skyward, curving east toward Yemen's coast, silent and precise. And that was only the opening act. On the deck of USS Truman, Phase 2 was already in motion. Air crews briefed, weapons hung, fuel lines uncoupled. This wasn't improvisation, it was doctrine. The second a hostile radar lit up, the playbook kicked in. The failed missile had still done its job. It revealed a launch point, a command node, a footprint. In modern conflict, that's all the Navy needs. Retaliation wouldn't just come, it would be coordinated, layered, and devastating. As the Tomahawks skimmed low over the sea, strike aircraft cycled off the deck. First out an E-2D Hawkeye for airborne overwatch, then a pair of EA-18G Growlers, electronic attack jets built to blind radar and jam comms. Behind them, the Muscle for F-A-18 Super Hornets, loaded heavy with GBU-38JD MIS and AGM-88 HARM missiles. Their package was clear: missile launcher as primary, suspected command post as secondary, a mobile radar truck flagged by drone thermal scans as tertiary. One by one, the Hornets cat launched, wings heavy, engines howling. The Growlers led, blasting wide-spectrum interference. The Houthis probably didn't even know they'd been targeted until the coast lit up. Tomahawks struck first, radar trailer shredded, launcher blown apart. Then the Hornets, JDA miss falling silent but precise. Secondary blasts erupted, fuel, ammo, maybe more missiles. The final blow came from a harm locking onto a desperate radar ping from a mountain station. By the time it hit, the shoreline was already drowning in smoke. Back in the Falcon's cockpit, the pilot listened quietly. No cheering, just clipped confirmations. Target neutralized. Strike successful, RTB. The Red Sea air was calm again, this time earned. And the message couldn't have been clearer. Fire at an American jet, and if it misses, the next thing inbound isn't another missile, it's the full weight of the fleet. People call modern warfare fast. This wasn't just fast, it was surgical. Before that F-16 even dodged the first missile, its feed had already logged everything: launch vector, GPS fix, thermal plume, trajectory. That was enough. Inside Eisenhower's CIC, the mood shifted instantly from defense to offense. No shouting, no panic. Just steady voices. Telemetry confirmed, grid locked. Target Alpha hot. The carrier's commanding officer didn't hesitate. One phrase: package Bravo, execute. That code wasn't for warning shots, it meant a hammer strike. A multi-domain offensive, cruise missiles, air strikes, and full-spectrum electronic warfare. Any system that fired at U.S. aircraft or even dared to lock on was now a valid target. And the Houthis had just lit the fuse. From an Arleigh Burke destroyer 100 miles offshore, VLS tubes opened like steel flowers. Tomahawks prepped, plotted, and launched in sequence. Not flashy, just cold precision, for missiles, for targets. A Syad launcher, a mobile radar vehicle, a suspected C2 hub near Ras Issa, and an ammo dump tagged by MQ4C thermal scan. Each one mapped, programmed, and airborne within minutes. Meanwhile, 70 miles away aboard on the deck of USS Truman, the scene came alive. Steam hissed from the catapults. Red shirts secured bombs G, BU-38JD MIS and AGM-8A harms, while green shirts topped off fuel tanks with machine precision. Yellow shirts guided F-A-18 Super Hornets into launch spots. The mix of jet exhaust and salt spray was like pure adrenaline. Overhead, an E-D Hawkeye was already circling, its spinning dish painting a live mosaic of the battlespace air and ground alike. Moments later, two EA-18G Growlers thundered skyward. These weren't ordinary attackers, they were flying blackout generators, packed with ALQ-218 receivers and jamming pods. Their task: smother Houthi radar, blind guidance systems, and replace clarity with static. Following them came the Muscle 4 F-A-18 Super Hornets, every hardpoint loaded with smart bombs and radiation-seeking missiles, built to ride signals straight to the source and erase them. High above it all, a Navy MQ-4C Triton drone continued its silent orbit. No noise, just optics and sensors, tracking post-strike heat signatures, vehicle convoys, possible retreats. The instant any Houthi unit shifted position, the Triton flagged it. Data beamed to a relay satellite, then straight into Eisenhower's fire control hub, where operators stood ready to redirect strike jets in real time. This wasn't vengeance, it was strategy by design. At the 12 local, the first Tomahawk slammed home, missile site Alpha gone. Drone footage showed secondary blasts, a clear sign of stockpiled munitions cooking off, the fire burning hot for 20 minutes. 2 minutes later, target to lit the shoreline, and enemy radar truck pinged one last emission, enough for a harm to hunt it down like a predator. Target 3 followed, a command bunker carved into rock and draped in camouflage. It didn't matter, one precision drop tore open the entrance, a second caved the hillside inward. Target 4, the ammo depot, was a full-blown fireworks display. The Hornets had run their racks clean, climbing back into the clouds without a scratch, no losses, no alarms, just debris smoldering in silence. Meanwhile, the Growlers did their part, blanketing Houthi comms, scrambling air defense radars, and filling their scopes with phantom fleets. The defenders weren't just hit, they were deaf, blind, and cut off from each other. No chatter, no signals, no coordination. Just fire, smoke, and confusion. That was the trade. They launched at a US jet, and the answer was an entire strike machine. The Houthis, and by extension, Tehran, absorbed a harsh lesson. You might get lucky against a drone, but try the same on a combat-ready F-16 or Hornet, and the reply won't be another unmanned patrol. It will be a layered counterattack that leaves nothing standing. And this matters because warfare isn't only about destruction. It's about perception. The Houthis didn't just lose equipment, they lost face. They showed their cards, and America didn't just brush them aside. It crushed them with steel, firepower, and electromagnetic dominance. From here on, every radar operator along that coast would hesitate before flipping the switch, wondering, is this the pulse that gets me erased? The US never issued a statement, but the message still spread. Satellite captures leaked, analysts connected the dots, the media whispered, and adversaries China, Russia, Iran took notes. The conclusion was simple: you don't test American air power unless you're ready for a completely different war. One where the US doesn't just answer, it reshapes the fight. After the smoke cleared, the carrier air wing shifted to combat air patrol mode. That meant armed jets in rotation, day and night, always circling, always ready to pounce in seconds. The Houthis thought they could fire at an American fighter and walk away. They were wrong, dead wrong. They didn't just lose a missile, they lost initiative, assets, and momentum. Now here's the question for you. If you were in command that night, would you have stopped after neutralizing the launcher? Or would you have wiped every radar site clean off the map? Think like a strategist and drop your answer in the comments. We read every one. And if this breakdown gave you chills, clarity, or a deeper respect for the precision of modern warfare, tap like so we know you're locked in. Subscribe if you want to track the next flashpoint before it even makes the headlines. And don't forget the bell icon so you're first when the next mission drops. Want to go one step further? Join the fleet. Membership brings badges, priority replies, and helps us surface more true naval stories. Hit join on our channel page and step aboard. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and remember, one missile might spark a war, but the response ends it. Thanks for watching.